There's been many great wrestling shows inside Nashville Municipal throughout the various decades and the booming territory days. The crowds, they all got super loud. They said we're always gonna turn out and to cheer our heroes, to let them know they're not zeros. But then the territories, they dried up. They said we're gonna go nuts unless we can cheer our heroes or someone at a great wrestling show. AEW slides in 2022 and says, here's what we've got for you. Come on in and cheer your hearts out for various people, including these guys, Adam Cole and Hangman Page, who talked about the various old days, Ring of Honor and Bullet Club. They said we could be best buds, but we're gonna fight at Revolution for the AEW World title. But maybe we will find out whose side Adam Cole is really on. I'm John Retton with my review of AEW Dynamite from the Nashville Municipal Auditorium, and provided that anybody is still tuned in after that incredible butchering of Blink-182's Adam song, let's talk about this show. That was actually one of the better episodes of Dynamite that I've seen in quite a while. Let me know your thoughts on this show in the comments, please. But yes, Nashville Municipal Auditorium. Google it, look it up. A lot of great wrestling history there. And I will say, outside of a couple things, the normal stuff that I didn't really like, this really was a pretty damn good episode. Sure, there were a couple moments where I thought, oh, that's a bit much. But you know what? It's modern wrestling. Kind of got to get used to that. And stuff just really clicked on this night. And this really should have been called Cody Whoville, because Cody who? I kid, of course. You can check out my real honest thoughts on Cody and Brandy leaving AEW. People leave, they come and they go. Will they come? Will they roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. AEW, apparently. So anyway, the roads were out of the intro. That's fine. Go back to when the first ever Nitro came along. Vader was in the intro. Vader never appeared on Nitro. I think by the second or third week, he was out and Lex Luger was in. So there you go. I'm not comparing Vader to Cody Rhodes because I actually liked a lot of Vader's matches. So anyway, CM Punk is already in the ring and the camera's fixed right on him. Interesting camera view. They're just fixed on him. He's got a box. What's in the box? And he just talks about, he starts out with, for those who don't know me, I'm CM Punk. I'm straight edge, I'm drug-free, alcohol-free, tobacco-free, and that means I'm better than you. And the words that he said and that kind of just going over all this. I'm not going to go over every single word 15 minutes later. No, this was a terrific opening. I did like the "A Winner Is You" sign. That was really, really good shit. Whoever that fan is, I salute you. Like you're watching this, but that was really good stuff. And how he's inspired others in the back and everything. And then there's MJF. And he's proud of him for what happened in Chicago because he beat him twice. And then he keeps mentioning, Piper and Portland and everything. You're not Piper and Portland. You're not Brett in Canada. You're Shea Little Max from Shea Little, Long Island. He thanks Mox for helping him last week. And now he gets to pick the stipulation. Revolution is the place. But what is the stipulation? Obviously, they were going to go to the pay-per-view, for the second match. Now, I still say giving away the first match on TV is a bold move, and I hope that they can get more out of this feud. I mean, I get it, but I don't know. There's just something about it. Still doesn't sit right with me. Like, I really like the match, but anyway, it is what it is. You can check out my review of that if you want. This, he says, well, the stipulation is, keep thinking Piper and Portland. So you want to be like Piper? You're going to be tethered to me. I'm thinking about matches where I left a piece of myself in the ring, and he mentions Piper and Portland again. And he pulled, it's like, MJF, I have a question. Will you be my Valentine? He pulls out dog collar. So we haven't seen a dog collar match in AEW since Brody Lee's, unfortunately, his last match against Cody Rhodes in the beginning of, end of September, beginning of October of 2020. Which is just still shocking to think that it's been over a year since Brody passed away. That's just really, really scary. Rest in peace, Brody Lee. But he brings up the dog collar, and it makes sense. He calls out MJF because he wants to tell him this to his face. MJF shows up not all braggadocious. He says, look at this photograph. Kind of blew my singing budget right there with my voice, doing that. Look at this photograph. I don't know why Creed is Nickelback there, but It was CM Punk meeting MJF, a kid MJF, and it's just funny. He says, the best day of your life for me was just Friday. And then he's talking about how Revolution for you will be your day of reckoning. It'll be just Sunday for me. I think the pay-per-views are on Sunday now. And he says he says the canvas that I stand on will not be your shitty spray tan. It will be stained with your blood. There you go. That's it. 10 minutes. MJF walks away, dejected. Looks like he was going to say something. 10 minutes. That's all they needed. Sold. Fucking sold on that. In fact, I need to buy that pay-per-view while I'm thinking about it. Or pre-order it. That was good. That was really, excuse me, really, really good stuff. I really enjoyed this. Now we get a card rundown. We cut to Bryan and Moxley, a video package. Will Moxley stay? Will he go with Bryan? The question, well, might be answered a little bit later. Maybe, maybe not. Actually, it will be answered. Sort of. Kinda. Maybe. Shivani's backstage with Jurassic Express and Cage. Tag team battle royals for the next 2 weeks. A tag team battle royal and then a casino battle royal to determine the two teams that will face off against Jurassic Express in a 3-way at Revolution. You think they overbooked that too much? Just a bit. God, you don't just have some matches. Have them between, have a 3-way between the top 3 and a 3-way between the 4th, 5th, and slide another team in there that you want to have beat. That's it. You don't need to do... I know they have a bunch of people on the goddamn roster, which is a big problem. Even though you can get some fresh matches, sometimes they leave people off way too goddamn long. This is an issue with AEW. This is an issue with WWE when they kept hoarding people. And I'm not saying AEW's hoarding people. I don't know. I did like, though, the Jungle Boy said, well, I love a good 3-way, Luchasaurus tag match. I admit the immature jackass in me laughed at that. And he says, I know a thing or two, puts his hand on Cage's shoulder about, winning a battle royal. This pretty much cements that Christian Cage is going to turn at the pay-per-view, or right after the pay-per-view. He's turning at some point very soon. Good God, Danielson is having a blast, is what I wrote down, and it's Bryan Danielson versus Lee Moriarty. Melissa Joan Hart in the front row. She's a Nashville resident. Can she explain why Cody left? You don't really need to, because we kind of know why. She still looks great. Really, really fucking good. She's a witch! Anyway, Bryan just being a little shit, going for the hand. Nope, not taking the hand. At one point, commentary mentions, you must be more physically insertive in your matches. I think I heard that right. Lee was given a lot. Lee, I've seen him live once, like a couple months ago. Terrific. Very, very good. The quick uppercut, him stopping Bryan, and Bryan stopping him with some kicks and the ropes and everything. Just really good stuff. He kept taking him lightly. Even though he was keeping up the offense, he was doing this during the break and that kind of stuff, just enjoying himself. There were some great slaps and strikes, and then really, really, close near fall by Lee. Lee was getting some good stuff here, and Bryan was always in control, but he gave him enough. Lee fisting Bryan from behind is what I noted, because who doesn't love a good fisting from behind? I know I do. Don't ask me any more questions. And he gets a nice trapped throw, which was really, really good stuff. I don't actually remember what the move's called. I apologize. Psycho knee, boo psycho knee. I call it the psycho knee. It's better. And then he stomps. Of course, a black man gets stomped during Black History Month. News at 11. And then the triangle for the win. And Bryan he beats him. Good match. Lee got a chance to shine against Bryan Danielson. But he says, did David Lee, pass or fail the violence test? Well, and then he just said, this is why I don't ask the American public about American public's opinion on anything. God, you little shit. He's enjoying himself. He calls out Moxley, who comes out eventually, doing his entire entrance. Now, I love that song, but sometimes I'm like, okay, now it's getting fucking ridiculous. Come on. It does set him apart, but it adds more time to the wrestling show than it should. Moxley then talks about facing Danielson at a show where Tracy Smothers had to kill some time while Bryan Danielson was late. I think he had travel issues or whatever. And how he has never beaten Danielson. Moxley, not Tracy Smothers. Tracy Smothers may have beaten Bryan Danielson. I don't know. Rest in peace, Tracy Smothers. He he basically says we could create a dynasty of pure, unadulterated wrestling violence. But he couldn't think of a reason to say no. But then he thought, why don't we face each other at Revolution? Because I can't stand side by side with nobody until I bled with them first. Okay. Good. So far, so good. Outside of the convoluted, stuff they're going to do with the tag teams. Whatever. Good show. Pretty damn good show. So, we get a pre-tape on Keith Lee. All right. I hope this works because Keith Lee seems motivated. And hopefully, I mean, if he wins that goddamn Revolution, Face of the Revolution ladder match, that's going to be something because he's got to beat Sammy at that point. He'll probably just squash Sammy in like 6 minutes. Sammy will have to hit and run, and Sammy will just get beat. He says Phase 1 was the qualifier, Phase 2 is the ladder match, Phase 3 is the final one when he wins the TNT Championship. Caster comes out and basically talks about Wardlow being overrated like Nashville hot chicken, which I've never had. And ignoring the fact about the group mentioning hot chicken, just going to ignore that. Ignore it, get that thought out of your head. And I'll knock you out of the first round like the Titans or whatever, and just calls him MJF's, little bitch. And then Caster with Bowens against Wardlow with Spears. Face of the Revolution qualifier. And Caster and Bowens kept having to cheat to try and even chop Wardlow down. And then after the break, Wardlow, when he eventually comes back, because they tried to do something with a chain punch when Spears inadvertently distracted the referee, not realizing what he was doing because he's Sean Spears, he's not very smart. He does that, and then a chain punch, but just, mic drop for 2. And then when Wardlow starts coming back, even when he just gets Caster ready for the powerbomb, the crowd is ready for it. He hits one, and the crowd is just absolutely bubbling. They're like practically boiling with it. It is like Sid in the late 80s, very early 90s, where they're just, especially like when he first showed up in 89 in WCW. The amount of roaring that he had. Like, think about, was it Great American Bash 1989? Just cheering everything that Sid did. Everything. They were cheering everything Wardlow did. He had a Powerbomb Symphony, I think 3 or 4, something like that. 1, 2, 3. And then Bowens tries to attack him, and he gets laid out with a Powerbomb. And then Spears comes in with a chair. Wardlow's getting pit. Because Wardlow's really... When Wardlow loses that Face of the Revolution ladder match, because I think it's going to happen, MJF's going to yell at him. And then because MJF's going to be upset after the dog collar match, he's going to be upset that Wardlow didn't win that. He's going to do something, and then Wardlow's going to snap. It's going to be like Virgil, Ted DiBiase, and so many, as an example, and so many others of like a bodyguard. Will they get rid of their long-lost pal that isn't really their pal because they're a jerk to them? So, that was good. So far, so good. And then we go back to stage with Shivani, Britt, and Co. And how she has the best sensei for Mercedes. It's Martin Cove from Cobra Kai. Why? I mean, nothing against the guy. Are they trying to sweep the floor, sweep the leg? What the hell's going on here? What happens if she loses? You know what to do. Finish her. No mercy. Just doing the quotable lines and everything from Karate Kid. And Cobra Kai, sweep the leg. So Shivani brings out Hangman. Cowboy shit chance. And then Shivani asks him about, was going to ask him about the Texas Death Match. And then immediately, it's all about the boom. It's the incredible shrinking Cole showing up. Look, I recognize that Adam Cole, Bay, can do whatever he wants. If he wants to just rely on his technique and everything, that's fine. I'm just saying that it's not a good presentation. I'm worried that he's not doing well. Because it is noticeable. It's incredibly noticeable. I was ignoring it at first, thinking maybe, it's just my eyes that are deceiving me. No, it turns out there's something wrong. I hope he's all right. So Tony, get the hell out of my ring, and then they do a promo back and forth. Here's the thing. I understood what they were trying to do, and they do have history, and that's great. And there are a lot of people that care about Ring of Honor, even when Ring of Honor was totally in the goddamn tank. But Ring of Honor produced a lot of great talent. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? The very near future, considering they're going to come back in April. And they talk about Bullet Club and all this, and sorry, too sweet. That's all I got to say about Bullet Club, because it's a discount NWO and always will be, despite the talent involved. Initially, at least. Because now they have G.O.D. and Kenta. People say they have Jay White. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. They have only people in the Bullet Club, G.O.D. and Kenta, that I give a shit about. So Paige said, how it must have, I wonder how it was for you to watch from the sidelines, watch from a distance, while your friends built an empire. That's a pretty good line. Pretty good line, in all honesty. Then they talk about friendship and the Bucks and the Dark Order, and they're arguing about friendships. They are fighting over shampoo. You've always been known as the other Adam. Here's the thing. I can remember a couple more Adam Page matches recently than I can Adam Cole matches. Adam Cole is fucking terrific. He was one of the few bright spots in the dark days of the black and gold NXT brand. And he was great in Ring of Honor for a number of years before that. He's had a great body of work. Cole's time in I almost said NXT, in AEW, because he was in NXT for so long, his time in AEW has not been good. Oh, he had to lose. He had to, not rest on his laurels and find himself and everything and stuff like that. The feud with Orange Cassidy didn't do that. It just made me think, okay, it's just bullshit. Hey, at least we didn't have the best friends on this show, which probably explains why I enjoyed the show a little bit more. So, he says, well, I'm talking about Red Dragon and, all this other stuff and everything. And hey, maybe we'll have a match at Revolution. I sense a 6-man match on either Rampage or Dynamite at some point. But yeah, Red Dragon comes out and attack Page, and then the Dark Order comes out. Security comes out first, then the Dark Order. And then Ten's like, I need to do something. I'm going to lay off these security guys. One that was Baron Black, who's been a resident jobber on, or enhancement talent, sorry. Enhancement talent's better. On Dark Elevation and Dark. And actually a pretty good talent. But the instant I saw the hair, I said, that's Baron. If it's not Baron Black, I apologize, but I think it was. And it just lays out everybody. Ten just lays out everybody for no reason. I mean, he's an impressive looking guy, but it was just an oddly done, thing here. Video package on Darby and Sammy. So, filling the void at wrestling because it's therapy for me and Sammy. Let's hear it for the Judas. It's Hager looking, man, he's on that freaking diet or whatever. He cut out the Mara Carbos and he is ready to scale the Capitol building wall. No, I'm not going to ignore that. And it's Santana Ortiz, a.k.a. Proud and Powerful, against Jericho and Hager. Proud Boy, Cowardful, as I'm calling them, because any Proud Boys and anybody that still supports Trump and supported the Capitol insurrection, you're all cowards. You're all cowards, and your parents should have taken care of you a long time ago. So anyway, let's move on from that. Referee Aubrey, and I love Aubrey. Aubrey's great. Jericho physically looks like shit, can't go anymore. Hager at least seemed motivated, maybe because it's almost contract negotiation time. And Kingston got a huge pop, by the way. Huge pop. He comes out, Big Eddie chants. Of course, JR did say, where you been, Eddie? It's a good question. JR is asking the important questions. Santana got the hot tag eventually. We got a melee. We got the street sweeper for 2. And then Jericho did the walls very sloppy. He can't fucking go anymore. He just can't. His chest looks like it's caved in. He physically can't do anything. I don't know if he's actually been drinking too much or if it's just time, age, and, whatever else. He just can't go. And Jericho eventually drop kicks Eddie, does the springboard drop kick thing, barely, and then gets hit with a discus lariat for 3. Jericho gets pinned. Good. Hager must have another MMA fight coming up that nobody will care about. So Jericho and Eddie have a brief brawl. 5 seconds later, every referee in the goddamn company and also in Nashville and also probably in Tennessee just rushes in there. Everybody get in here. And then we go back to the Cutler cam because Brandon Cutler is still allowed to be an on-screen character on this show for some reason, who I'm sure is a nice guy. This is stupid comedy. It's BTE bullshit and I don't care. Who's Cole with? Whose side is he on? Who cares? Cole versus 10 on Rampage and which way you gonna go, Cole? And why was one of the Jacksons wearing a goddamn tiger jogger? I don't get it. Mercedes has her pipe out. That line sounded a lot less dirty in my head. Her sensei, JR said, just mock. He's mocking all the thing is Cobra Kai. I've actually never watched any episodes of Cobra Kai. I've heard it's really good. I need to rewatch the Karate Kid movies. Maybe not so much the one with Hilary Swank in it. Where they were going to go from sweep the leg to queef the leg. Now that I pretty much got every woman away from watching the show, all 5 people that watch that are women, let's go with Thunder Rosa in Kill Bill gear. And she just slams that chair into Mercedes' pipe and then slams it into her and then throws the chair away. And okay, we're getting a no DQ match and we're going to get some physicality and some eventual weapons. And the weapons come out right away. I'm going to say this much. I think Mercedes and Thunder Rosa, because I said this much about Paige and Archer. My personal opinion. When you just throw all the weapons in the goddamn ring initially, it loses all meaning. Now, Thunder Rosa and Mercedes cut a really good pace here and hit each other really, really goddamn hard and did some great moves. I enjoyed this match, but I think they could have scaled back on the weapons a bit. My take. Still enjoyed it. But I did. At one point, they battle into the crowd or whatever, and Thunder Rosa puts Mercedes in the chair. Somebody paid for that seat. And then there's a suplex on the barricade. The collapsible barricade, that actually looked pretty goddamn brutal. I hope Mercedes is all right. I think her head hit the back. And then a suplex through a table that was leaning up on the apron that only the end broke. That looked brutal. We got a trash can drop kick. No DQ, but rope breaks are allowed. Not sure how that works. And that's not fault on the wrestlers. That's fault on the people putting it together. So we get a spider German where it's like Mercedes like, sorry, I'm not home right now. I'm hanging like a spider web and I'm going to throw you off the ropes. No doubt I am not, because there's no doubt about that. So she did slip on the top rope elbow. I hope Thunder Rosa's okay. I hope Mercedes is okay. That looked brutal. But eventually chair pile in the ring. Fire Thunder Driver, 1, 2, 3. I enjoyed the match. Again, what I said about Archer and Paige, having too many weapons out, all that stuff, even though Texas Death Match. They did what they did. Mercedes and Rosa did good stuff for their brief feud. Because if you think about it, from the time Mercedes came in and cost Rosa that match against Jade, that's basically where they're going with this. They were going to just have a quick feud. And as a show of respect, Britt and Co. show up. I've seen that look before. That's one pissed off doctor. JR says I advise the doctor to stay in her lane. That can't possibly backfire on JR. Not at all. I mean, whatever. I don't think he meant anything by it. It's just... Britt then talks to Martin Cove and says, well, no mercy. Finish her. All that. And then Rosa gets attacked. And then Mercedes, she's got her pipe up, but she can't do it. So Jamie attacks her. And then Jamie has a beautiful mount, I realize, in the ring. Not thinking anything otherwise. How dare you accuse me of anything else? And we're getting a tag match, obviously. Probably not on Rampage area announced, but on Dynamite, I'm guessing. Mercedes and Rosa against Jamie and Rebel. Wonder who's going to take the pin there. House of Black were in a, well, they were in a house. Otherwise, if they were in a cottage of Black doesn't sound as good. There were cards and talks of violence. They're going to have a tag match next week against the Darker Penta and Pac, I guess. Anyway, Eddie and Jericho have face-to-face. Rampage slam dunk. By the way, Rampage is on at 4 p.m. West Coast, 7 p.m. East Coast. 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain Time. I don't know what Hawaiian time is. Probably 2. I think Hawaii is 2 hours behind. Don't really care. Nothing against Hawaii, but never been there, never will be. Because I hate water and I hate flying. Trent versus Jay White. Cole versus 10. Hey, we're cutting to a Jay White promo. If Kenny had stayed in New Japan, there may have not been any AEW. Yeah, true. That probably is technically true, Jay. That's kind of how things work. Matter of fact, Jay White. So Deeb has a 5-minute challenge in Hobbs versus Dante in a qualifier match. And then Darby comes out with Sting, who this whole appearance probably cost him about $50,000 just for him to do basically jack shit. And then he took on Sammy Guevara, Darby did that is, for the TNT Championship. And they did everything. They did literally everything to each other. Actually, they told a good story as far as selling stuff through Impact. But I wrote down, I bet this ends with Andrade distracting or attacking Darby when the referee is distracted. And lo and behold, I was right. It's almost like I've been watching wrestling too long. So the buckle bomb to Darby. Don't know why they did that. The Spanish fly off the top. My goodness. A figure 4 later by Darby. That was some good stuff to target the knee. He'd been targeting during the match. Last upper for 2. And then a cutter catch on a dive. And then Darby goes for the coffin drop. And the apron senton by Sammy. Seriously, Sammy, we would like you to be able to walk by the age of 40. Or even 35 at this point. So Jose shows up, Sting gets him and attacks him, and then Andrade hits Darby with a tablet because he comes through the crowd and hits him. GTH 1-2-3. Sammy didn't know that Darby got beat, or Darby got hit. And then Matt Hardy badly attacks Darby. Why is Matt Hardy allowed to be in a wrestling ring in 2022? He's not any good. He can't do anything anymore. Andrade then hits Sammy. Andrade wants to be TNT champion. It was a messy ending to what was actually a pretty damn good show. But the crowd was pretty loud the whole goddamn night. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.